Hello everybody. So I just wanted to do a quick video on MicroStrategy today, or StrategyB, or strategy as I have to start calling it. So when it comes to strategy, last week we had no buy because of a blackout period, and that was confirmed because he tweeted this morning that the green dots are gonna come back. Long live the green dots, don't see the blue lines, and you can see what he means, because if he keeps adding green dots, you're not gonna see the blue lines anymore. It's kind of cheesy and funny, but that's okay. He's literally back buying every week, and that's the good news of the day. So really, the way I consider this is there is an uninterrupted streak of buys when it comes to MicroStrategy, besides the legal period where he can't buy. And that's the way I'm going to look at it. If every quarter he buys every week, but the 1 week that he legally can't, that's an uninterrupted streak as far as I'm concerned. Now, I just wanted to do a quick update on the price to NAV. So the price to NAV right now is 1.81. I consider anything under 1.8 attractive. So depending on what the stock price does tomorrow, I think that's going to be a very attractive stock price. If he adds more Bitcoin, he's likely he's going to add more Bitcoin. But the question is, how much more Bitcoin is he going to add, right? It's likely if we get a slight weakness in the Bitcoin price that will be under the 1.8x price to NAV. And I consider this quite attractive, especially now as he's running out of money on the ATM, on the issuance of new shares. And you're going to have probably more convertibles going on, even though I'm guessing it's still going to be a little bit of an ATM, at least for this weekly buy. And as far as my model goes, I want to show my model again here because I want to talk about models today really briefly. As far as my model goes, as you know, what he guided right last week when he said we're going to reach 15% BTC gain and 15% BTC yield, the increase in outlook that I'm so bullish on and happy about, well, it seems like he's following my bear case scenario. Now, I still think it's a sandbagging. I still think he's going to do more than 15% in 2025 in terms of Bitcoin yield, but you can see an early price target, and I don't put them until 2045, of course, on YouTube, because I don't want to look ridiculous, because when you get into numbers that are too many digits, people don't take you seriously. The novel part of this video, what do I want to talk about in this video? I want to talk briefly about models. So as you know, this spreadsheet, what did I use? I used the Bitcoin 24 model. It's in its 2024 edition. That's why the price starts at 65 in this model, because it goes back to the price of 2024 roughly, right? So I'm using the model as he published it, when he published it, and I'm using his price targets in my assumptions. But you know, there's dozens of models out there that you can use, and specifically the model that I want to talk about today is Ark Invest. I actually happen to like Cathie Wood. I know she's deeply hated on the internet. It's kind of like Robinhood. For some reason, for like 18 months, people hated Robinhood. People have short memories. A lot of people dislike Cathie Wood because she's very, very bullish. But I'm a bullish person as well. Maybe not as bullish as Cathie Wood, but she's very bullish. So I wanted to briefly talk about the big ideas 2025. I'm halfway done reading it. A lot of it is not related to Bitcoin, but what is related to Bitcoin is quite exciting in my view. And specifically, I want to call your attention to the number of exponential charts and the exponentiality, that S-curve that we're seeing for Bitcoin adoption. You know, it's quite impressive. So if you look back at the year 2024, the adoption of a Bitcoin ETF was not even comparable to the adoption of gold, and gold was one of the biggest ETFs out there, perhaps second only to the SPY ETF back in the 90s. So that was a huge ETF gold, but Bitcoin just dwarfs the gold ETF in the exponentiality, the inflows, and the amount of money that it's got. But this is not only only exponential. The hash rate of Bitcoin keeps going up, so the network is getting more and more secure. And this is, to my knowledge, the very first time that I see Cathie Wood actually acknowledge MicroStrategy and discuss MicroStrategy in the context of public companies holding Bitcoin. And so you know, this is a sign to me that Saylor is getting acknowledged by some of the most bullish investors out there. You know, and she's pointing out that at the time that was a 58% of a BTC holding as a percentage of market cap. As a reminder, in my video right now, I have it in my spreadsheet. Sorry, I have it at 55%. So she's right on the money at 58%. But she's pointing out Mara, another stock that I like, not because of mining business, but because of the percentage of Bitcoin on the market cap. I like Mara as well. So anyways, I'll be adding more stocks to my spreadsheet, but this is quite interesting. You can see that the adoption of Bitcoin by corporate treasuries also follows an exponential pattern. And let me just move on to this. So you may have mentioned, you may have heard, if you follow my videos for a while, I always talk about the inflation rate of gold, you know, 2 to 4% depending on the year. And so it's important to note that now the new supply of Bitcoin is roughly less than 1%. So now, and throughout 2020, it was roughly the same. So now an important point is that Bitcoin is actually under 1%. The new supply of Bitcoin is way lesser than the new supply of gold. And so that should bode well for Bitcoin as a store of value because of that. And another thing that I want to talk about is the volatility. So she's highlighting the volatility of the asset. And Bitcoin, she looks at it as a good thing that Bitcoin is becoming less and less volatile. Well, it depends on where you look in the chart. I mean, you could start the chart from 2016 and find that the volatility is still the same. I'm not sure Saylor would agree with this statement that the volatility of Bitcoin is falling, but eventually Bitcoin's volatility should drop, and eventually I fundamentally believe that Bitcoin will be seen as a secure asset or a stable asset, kind of like gold. But who knows, and if it's in a decade, in 2 decades, who really knows? The point I'm making is that if the narrative shifts to the volatility of Bitcoin is falling, this is where MSTR comes into play, because now the MSTR, the delta neutral trades that can be put on, they can't be put on Bitcoin anymore. They have to be put on an asset that is more volatile, and that is MSTR. The fact that it's such a hotly debated stock, the fact that people disagree so crazily about this stock is what adds the volatility, the ups, the downs. The fact that you can't predict when he's going to do the ATM, you can't predict what new instrument is going to do, you can't predict when he's going to do the convertible debt. All of these facts, his CNBC appearances, you can't predict that. All of these facts is what reintroduces volatility on top of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's volatility is actually going down, well, MicroStrategy sure looks like a solution to me. And the last thing I want to talk about is the model. So like I said, dozens of models out there. But if I look at the 2030 price targets for Bitcoin of Michael Saylor in his Bitcoin 24 model, you can see the target is $570,000. If I look at Ark's base model, the price target is $710,000. So, of course, Ark is a little more bullish, as she is. If you look at any stock she analyzes, it's very bullish. But the key is that she doesn't change in her consistency of bullishness. Like me too, I'm bullish on a lot of stocks. There's a lot of stocks that I like. But you know, if you find me too bullish, you can adjust me down and be like, okay, well, maybe he's like on average 15-20% more bullish. Well, same. Ark Invest, she's on average more bullish than the average investor. You can tone the prediction down by a percentage, but the key is that she's consistent with herself. And so I find it quite fascinating that these numbers are being put out. That would be an outstanding return by 2030. And that on top of the Bitcoin yield that MicroStrategy may achieve, I think this bodes very well for the future. And I think we have a bright future ahead with MicroStrategy. Now, of course, this is not investment advice. This is not financial advice. I don't expect a lot of videos today because of, I guess, the sports news out there of the day, the Sunday, the Super Bowl Sunday. But this is just entertainment, just like the Super Bowl. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching today's short video, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.